on our service. All right. So once again, welcome everybody to LA Web Professionals Group. This is our August meeting, August 2023. And tonight we have Sarah Schweiger, and I'm going to see if tell me if I said that name right.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Yeah. And Sarah runs the Tampa Adobe User Group and is an Adobe community expert and Adobe Express ambassador. Woo! And she's also an online instructor with the graphic design online program for the Los Angeles Film School here in LA. And she specializes in design strategy, corporate identity, and sometimes covers UX and UI and experiential design. I love that background. That's fantastic. She focuses on design strategy, brand development, and marketing to ensure consistency and excellence in all mediums. She began her career specializing in UX UI as a lead designer for custom applications. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. The show is yours. Thank you for joining us, Sarah, and let's get this going.
Sure. Thank you for having me, and thank you all for joining in this late hours for me, early hours for you guys on the West Coast. So thank you for coming. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Adobe Express. Daniel told me I had 2 hours to cover many different items. So I thought I'm going to show the video portion of it. I'm going to show you a project that I worked on. It was just for fun, but I just wanted to see how the program worked. And so I'm going to show you the whole project from start to finish. But before I get started, I thought this would be really helpful for kind of like an overview to just kind of see what the program can do. And I think this is a really great program for people who have to do marketing and they don't necessarily have a background in graphic design. Like, I think this is like the perfect program for you. Or maybe you work in a different part of your company, but you've been asked to do something for social media, or you've been asked to create like a little web page to put some information up. Or maybe maybe you're retired and you handle some kind of event that's coming up and you need to, market it. This is a great program for that because it's so simple to use and there are so many templates that you can just basically work off of. So I thought I might cover some new techniques in the program other than the video, and then I'll go to my video project. So there's just a few things that I thought were really super helpful and interesting that I wanted to share with you. The first is that when you log into Adobe Express, this is basically your stage, so to speak, right? So you can kind of see like all the options that Adobe Express offers to people who are looking to create something. My favorite part of this online software is the Explore tag. And the reason for that is that you can see it right away that it gives you a ton of templates to work for. So if you're creating a poster for an event, or you want to put together a little video, maybe you want to put a flyer together or a menu, maybe you're a small business and not only are you in charge of putting that, restaurant together, small business, but you also are in charge of putting the menu together. This is a great place to come in and build those elements and then, export them out either for the web or for an email. So what I love about this is that they already have layouts and you just kind of plug and play. And that's fantastic, even for people that are like seasoned professionals like myself, where we already know about design. We're actually going through here and looking for good templates ourselves, right? Because we don't have a lot of time. So this is a great resource for that. And so what I thought I would do is show you just a couple of examples of different ways that you can use the program, and then I'll jump into my video project. So the first thing I showed you is the templates and the ability to just kind of grab one and use it immediately. You can start putting content into it. And what's nice too is that if you see, like, let's just say you don't have a lot of photography, or maybe you're creating an event but you don't even have a logo yet. Like, you can come in here and it will actually give you templates for logos as well. So you can like literally build from the bottom up, which is fantastic. So I have a couple of projects in here, and the way that I started them was I went through this process right here of just kind of looking through and saying, okay, what is it that I need to build? And from there, I picked a template. Here's the logos, by the way. You can see I scrolled down and I can actually pull one of these logos if I wanted to. If I, like I said, if I didn't have any kind of graphic design skill sets whatsoever, I could literally come in here. This one looks like a skincare line, right? Like, and I can move it. I can save it and use it for a project. It's already ready to go, which is great. What I thought I would do is back out of here, and I'm going to go ahead and open up a project that I had started. Again, all I did was I grabbed some artwork, right? And so every time you grab the artwork, which you can see here, it creates a file of that. So whether you click on it and used it at all, or if you are going to use it for a real project, you can see that it keeps it in here. So it keeps a record. So if you forget to save often, which many people do, it's going to keep a record for you. It's kind of like Google Docs, right? Like it just continuously saves for you. So what I thought I would do is start with a typical ad, right? Like maybe you are a fashion designer, a local fashion designer, and it's enough just to run the shop, but now you've got to also place ads on social media, or you got to do an email campaign. You could quickly find an ad like this and populate the artwork with your own fashions. One of the latest techniques that this particular software allows you to do is not only place, like let's just say you have fashion design, you can add quickly, like a new photo. You could quickly come in here and select the photo, which I've selected here, and I could click up here and I could populate it either with my own photography of my fashion design, or what's even cooler now is you can actually, let's just say you took your cell phone. Everybody's got these nowadays, right? Let's just say you videotaped, I've got to use the old term, videotaped someone wearing the clothes, walking down the street using, showing off the fashion, right? That's a little bit more interesting than just a still photo. So one of the cool things that this program allows you to do is put in video into it and remove the background, which is kind of a neat little thing. So I don't happen to have any fashion video, but what's cool is this program already has it. So I'm going to show you that real quick here. I'm going to do a search for some video. And I think what I'll do is I want to search under video. So I'm going to go to my media tab here, and I want to look for like, let's just say woman shopping, and let's see what kind of videos come up. Here's perfect. Here's a good one. So what I want to do is I actually want to place her in here, and let's just pretend for a second this is the video that I captured on my cell phone. Okay, all it is this woman. I can drag and drop it. I can play it. I can see, here's my fashion. Let's just say I captured this with my cell phone. A lot of times we can do that now. And what's nice is I can take her out. So this is my template. And over here on the right-hand side of my screen is kind of like my layers, right? So I can see the order. So here you can see, here's my video that I dropped in. Here's my still. So what I want to do is, because I want to place her kind of in the same area, I can hold down my shift key and then just kind of make her nice and big, just as big as my photo here. And I can play around with that. But I want this element here, and I love this element here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move her down here. Simple. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my still photo because it's just not that interesting. And now, hang on. What's happening here? For some reason, that didn't go away. So now I'm going to place her, but I don't like that background. So I can come over here and choose remove background. And what it will do is, in a few seconds, the photo or her video the background will be removed of it. And depending on how quickly the internet's working tonight, will be dependent on how quickly this happens.
The mercy of the internet.
Yes, the mercy of the internet, exactly. So I'm going to let that do its thing for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and jump out of here and talk up. There she is. Okay, so now let's just, so it makes a much more interactive, dynamic ad when you've got a moving person in the ad versus just a still photo. And so what's nice is now that I have this like kind of really beautiful photo and or video here, I can make it bigger too. So like if she comes out of it, I make sure I don't run over any of my copy, but also have kind of her in the background. I can actually then download this as an MP4 file and then load it right up to the web, which is a super nice feature, I think, in this program. And I didn't have to use any kind of special video editing equipment. All I could do is just use my cell phone and a template from Adobe Express. And my job is basically done here. Another cool, I'm going to go back to my stuff here. And I'm going to go back into here and go to my stuff. So as I was saying before, everything is like saving as I am, adding to the files and that sort of thing. A new thing that is new in Adobe Express is the ability to use libraries. I don't know how many of you guys use libraries in your regular workflow. So that example I just shared with you is really meant for the person who has no video editing experience, no design experience. They're literally pulling a template and they're throwing their content into the copy, and now we're ready to export. Now I'm going to switch gears here for just a second and pretend for a moment that you are working with a client who needs who has a brand, who you may, as the graphic designer or artist, designed their whole logo, brand, style guide. So you've done everything in InDesign, and now you're setting up templates for your customers so that they can come in here and maybe you build like 10 templates for them to use in social media. However, they don't understand anything about the proper formats for branding. They don't understand what it means to have a vector file, but all they know is that they need to have a certain number of ads that they've got to do in a month, and they may even want to tweak that copy on a regular basis. So instead of me as the graphic designer going in and tweaking the copy on a regular basis, because you're moving on to bigger and badder projects, I can create an ad for them. In this case, I am, January 4th is Happy National Spaghetti Day. I've created this ad, and now what I can do is I can go into a program like InDesign. I'm going to open up. So that I created this fictitious brand called Divine Possibilities for my corporate identity class that I teach. And I'm teaching students about creating brand style guides with mission statements and primary and secondary logos. And so I can, let's pretend for a second that this is the client Divine Possibilities, and we need to create a library for my customer to kind of plug and play, so to speak. So in the real software, the real, advanced software, I can come in here as the graphic designer. I can click on something like this, and I can create a new library within InDesign. And I'm going to just go ahead and name it Divine, the same name as my customer here. And create a new. Okay, so I have an element. This happens to be the logo. If I open it up in Illustrator, I can go in and edit any bit or part of it. But from in the actual brand guideline here, I can come over here and collect elements of the brand. So just by clicking here, it says, okay, do you want just the graphic or do you want to extract things from it? So let's start with the graphic. Okay, so that brought my logo over. I may need a reversed out version of the logo. So let's go ahead and add that as well. And a grayscale version, just depending on it. I may also need to bring in my color palette as well. So again, as the graphic designer, director, whatever, you are adding all these elements. I'm going to extract. I can also extract hex numbers and that sort of thing right here from inside of InDesign. Okay, so I'm kind of creating a color palette. I can also, which is nice, is I can bring in photographs as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring those in. Yep. And what's nice is it's pulling in information from the photograph. And I can save that too as a color swatches, and I can bring in the actual photos. So I may want to create ads from these. So right now I'm just basically creating like almost like an online resource, right, for my client, which is super helpful. And now that I've collected, obviously I'd put a lot more in, but I just want to show you just really quickly how this is all working. So now I can go back into my the program that my customer feels the most comfortable in, and they can come over here to, so we've got templates. That's the one that shows like all of the different templates that exist out there. Under media is where you can find artwork, can find video, audio, photos that we may not have on file, but could potentially use for the ad. Text, same idea here. These are all just different layouts, logos. Again, if I don't have a brand and a style guide like I had for InDesign, I could pull stuff from here. Under elements though, I can go in here to my design assets. Oh, hang on. Sorry, it's under your stuff. Brand libraries. And I can find the one that I just created, which is my Divine Possibilities. And now I can drag this into my brand. Hold on. I don't know why Zoom is interacting right now with me.
Sorry about that. I got you.
Hang on. Hang on, it's not letting me do anything. Oh, okay, I see what's going. This graphic format is not supported. So I added it as a vector file. So but it's there. I can add it if I need to. What? That's weird. Add your colors. Yes. Okay. Let me go into, I did this earlier from Illustrator. For some reason it's not. So let me pop into Illustrator here, edit with Illustrator, because it is a vector file. There it is. Let's see if it will take it from here. That's not it. Oh, too many programs open. Go to my libraries in. Libraries. There it is. So what's nice too with libraries is that you can access all this. Doesn't matter which program you're in. Let me add it. Graphic. Okay, so this one is artwork number 5. Okay. Let me go back into my libraries. Let's see if it let me do this earlier. There we go. There it is. So now I can add my brand here to the design. I can also come in here and change this if I wanted to say something different. I can move this up. Oh, didn't grab everything. And adjust it. Maybe adjust the photo. And then place my logo in here. If for whatever reason, there's something wrong with this logo, okay, What's nice is I could go back into Illustrator. I could double click on the file, and let's just say it's the wrong something, wrong color, wrong whatever. If I change this, that looks awful, but let's just say I changed it to white, for instance, and because I want to reverse out or something. I close that, I hit save. If I go back into this file here, what it's going to tell me, I think, is that it's been updated. So now my client doesn't have to know anything about vector files. They can just say, hey, I really need that logo, that Divine Possibilities logo, to be white. I, on my end, can just do it. And then they're going to get a notification that I changed it on my end, and they don't have to think twice. And I think from that point of view, I think that would save, you know, a lot of people, a lot of agony, so to speak. I have lost you guys.
Here, it looks really good with the white. With the white for the logo. Yeah, you should be able to share again.
Let's do this. All right, cool.
All set.
Yeah, so I think if you're working with a client, you're building all these templates, they don't know what the correct logo is. However, if you feed them the correct logo, they can then play around with this program. They can ask you to create additional elements. You feed them through the library, all the elements that you want to feed them through the library. And the next thing you know is they don't have to worry about if they're putting in the correct elements. They can just drag and drop right from that library. And it's in a program that they feel comfortable and safe. And that's like a huge, you know, helpfulness. So I just wanted to share, that's kind of something new. And I don't know if you guys have seen that before, how that is something that's new to this program, that you can use those libraries, and they're linked to the vector files. They're linked to, basically the libraries. And that's one thing that a lot of people ask me about all the time is like, well, what's the difference between this program called Canva that we hear about all the time? And I think that is one of the major differences, is that with Canva, you're constantly having to export out the file as a PNG. There's no connection. So if I want to make a quick change, you're going to have to send the file to them. You're going to have to lay it out for them, et cetera, et cetera. So I think from that point of view, I think that's a huge, a game changer, I think. Okay, so I'm going to close this. And I'm going to move on to the next project. Okay, so the next project I think that you might enjoy doing, and again, these are all, I guess, because I have the time and I've only gone through 30 minutes worth of time. Another way I use Adobe Express, which is actually really surprising for a lot of people, is that I have to put a report together at the end of the year because my child is a homeschooler. And I don't know how many of you guys, do homeschooling or have to ever put a report together that you have to basically show examples of student work, for whatever reason. And I ended up using what used to be called Adobe Spark to do this. And I'm going to show you an example of what I did just this past year. And the way to access this is if you go back to the home page here and you go under marketing, and there are options here. So we kind of looked at some of the templates already with my examples. They also have this one link right here, and it's called blog and website. And this makes you a very simple single page web page that you can build. And it's just like I was showing you before. It's just drag and drop options. It's very simple, creating from scratch. You click on this, you start with, adding a title, Sarah's Sarah's page. You know, you can add a little subtitle. What's nice is that as you add content, you know, if they keep it really simple. You can add a photo, you can add text, you can add a button, you can add video, you can add a photo grid, a glide show. I'll show you what that is in just a second. And then a split layout is just basically exactly what it sounds like. You put an image on one side and you can put some copy on the other or vice versa. It's really simple. Like they are trying to keep it simple, simple, simple. And I think, again, it's just like for those who have to put things together, but they are not technically like advanced for doing, you know, using like InDesign or Photoshop or Illustrator, all the like more advanced programs. I think this is an excellent solution for that. And I'm going to show you real quick what I put together for, again, the end of the year. You know, I need to show what my child has been able to accomplish. And then basically a teacher comes along and approves, you know, the kind of the work. And so I created this single page web page for my son. And basically it's just the kind of like end of the year rundown. I have little samples of the work he's completed. I you know, put a photo up here behind, you know, just a simple, but you kind of see. And so now I can just literally send this page to the instructor who's going to approve or disapprove, you know, what was homeschooled that year. But I can just quickly put some samples of his work throughout the year, samples of, you know, how we learned together, you know, math exercises, even what we were reading. We did reading and writing and spelling. And then I took photos throughout the year. And so this is considered a photo glide, where you've got like a picture of, you know, that's my son there. And then I've got some additional photos. I even put videos in here. We, you know, did science at the beach. And so I could click on the video and play, you know, videos of that. We looked at dinosaur eggs together and we did field trips. And I even put videos of the field trips so I could click on this. So let me just show you what this looks like when I send it to, hang on, let me fix it out of here. Let me go down to, is this right? So before I was in the edit mode, and so there was like little pluses every so often I could add content, but now this is the mode that a person would get if you sent them the link. So once you can hit here, and then there's the learning how to drive a boat, you know, for the first time kind of thing. And then he did some therapy writing. The thing I noticed about these web pages is that if you capture video horizontally, I can click and play and it will play right here in the browser, which is super nice. And it just looks nicer when you have like a horizontal look, but you can kind of see how I just kind of put this whole thing together to kind of give like a rundown. And it's really simple. You can keep it kind of like unlisted, like similar to like if you were to create like a YouTube page where you keep it unlisted, or you can, and then you can share it, right? So you can create, you get a link, and then I could email the instructor and she can look through this and say, yep, you know, he's good to go for the year. And I plan to use this every year. So I'm going to go ahead and just stop for a second here and find out if you guys have any questions so far.
Anybody have any questions? I will say I absolutely love the web page option, the one that you just showed. I actually use it to build mobile tutorials, like how to do things, but from the phone. And nobody ever realizes that, yes, you can build it on your desktop, but it should be just as easy to build it via your phone, where you're usually dealing with the majority of your photos and video content right in that device.
I think that's where they're heading, to make sure that all of this that we're seeing on our desktop right now is going to be functional from like any kind of smart device, like a phone or a tablet and that sort of thing. One thing though I learned though, and this is about what I'm going to share with you next, and this goes to the video editing, is that when I was capturing my stills for my project, so the higher or the more advanced phones, right, you can capture photos as HEIC files, which are the high res files. Okay. Adobe Express, this is kind of like a pro tip. Adobe Express doesn't accept HEIC files. Those are the really high end, like the professional grade files that, you know, professional photographers use. So you do have to either export out as a lower grade photo when you export from your phone, or you have to open them up in like a program like Photoshop to save them out as like a PNG file or a JPEG file to use in Adobe Express. So that's something to kind of realize going into any kind of project, whether you're creating social media ads or if you're just doing something for fun. You do have to have the right formats. And I say unfortunately and fortunately. So fortunately, we can take really high res photos with our phones now. Unfortunately, programs like Adobe Express, they don't know what to do with those types of files. So kind of know that going in. The other pro tip that I'm going to tell you is that when you're working on a project, figure out what the end goal is. In other words, are you creating a poster? Are you creating a resume? Are you creating a menu? Are you creating an ad? Are you creating something for Facebook? That affects the content you collect. In other words, if you have to go out and shoot it. So if you're doing an ad for like a local pizzeria, or you're creating you know, some kind of campaign and it needs to go on to TikTok, figure out the layout in here in this program first, which size you need. So if you need to capture this way, you capture this way. If you need to capture this way, you do capture it before you need to go to edit it. That would be my number one recommendation. And in the smart, you know, smart people, we capture both, right? Like, we'll get it this way and then we'll get it this way, because you never know when what we're gonna need to use it for. So again, you know, if you're trying to do something quick, just kind of know what your template size you're shooting for, and that's gonna like save you a whole lot of time. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and now I'm gonna jump into the video editing. I just wanted to kind of touch on some of those things because I don't know what people have used and haven't used, and have you thought about using it for this or that? And I know a lot of people kind of go over things like, you know, you can create a resume and you can create this and you can create that, but I'm just sharing with you what I literally create for myself. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to jump into, and if anyone has any questions, you know, feel free to just turn your mic on and ask, because,
not a question, but a tip. If you're on Windows and you receive one of those high res Apple format is what I call them, a free software called Handbrake.
Yep.
So it's a pineapple and martini. It does do the images, but you have to export it. The image is an MPEG and then open the MPEG in Photoshop. But you can easily on your desktop convert them using Handbrake.
I use that a lot for video for compressing, but I never thought to use it for stills. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back into Adobe Express. All right, so in this, and so the next step I'm going to talk about is using video. So one of the things I talked to you about, one of the things I recommend is making sure that you study the different templates. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about scene timing, layer timing, and audio track controls in Adobe Express. So I'm going to go back into my stuff again, because every time I work on something, I always like save a copy, save a copy, save a copy. And one of the templates that I decided to work with right off the bat, and I found it when I went through, you know, I went through the process of going to Explore, and let's see if I can find it, because now I feel like here it is. Here's the original. I called it the original. So this was the template that I decided to work off of. I found this template. I thought it was really super lovely. The first step I recommend is just playing through it and taking a look at how it looks. Okay. And another pro tip that I wanted to share with you was that when completing this project, and you, let's just say you go through the templates and you find something that has this little doodad right here where it says full premium access, and you don't have full premium access. The tip that I'm going to share with you is that as long as you're planning, like let's just say you find a template like that, as long as you're planning on replacing all the imagery in this template, you can still use the template without having to pay for the premium cost of it. It's the content within the video that makes it premium, not the layout or the animation built into the content. And I think that's super important because a lot of times when people are looking at templates, they might not have the premium edition of something. If they see a template they really like, and they're going to replace it anyways, they're going to, they're going to replace it with like, the outside of the building and then the products, the product or services that the company offers, right? You're going to replace it anyways, but you really love like the movement, right? Like you love how there's some video there and you love how the pictures kind of fly in. Cool, use it because you're going to replace everything in it anyways. So I think that is super helpful. So I decided to go with this layout again, because I love the way that it moves, and also it inspired me to go out and capture my own video. So I happened to find this, actually, let me show you real quick. If you go to media, go to templates, and you go down to, it is under mobile video. This is where you can find it. Okay. So if you want to follow along, that's where you would go. So the first thing that I'm going to do is immediately I'm going to replace the background image. And to do that, you just select the video. Now you can see how long the clip plays for, but you can actually pull this out longer because there's actually more video here. Okay. But I'm not going to need this video. I'm going to replace it with my own. So I'm going to go ahead and go up to upload, and then I'm going to go to my folder. Bear with me because I've got lots and lots. And I've got some video here, and I'm going to stick with this one here. I'm going to go ahead and pop that in. Okay. So now I've got kind of my base for my project. Okay. Now, I'm not building this for a client. I'm just doing this for fun, but you can imagine, finding your video for your customer and placing it as like the background image. And so one of the things that you see right away is that I've placed my video in here, but you can see that as I scrub the timeline, all those photos kind of fly in at the wrong time. If you don't see the timeline, click on edit timeline. That will help reveal the design. Okay. The other thing is I've clicked on the background and I've replaced it. So as I click on elements and I play through them, you'll see that the timeline slightly changes a little bit. And that's because you've got the main timeline down here, which doesn't, by the way, look anything like Premiere if you use Premiere. Okay, so it's a little bit of different video editing. But as I click on each of the elements that have flown in, you can see that there's like a bar that sits right up here, right? And this is that scene timing bar. And so see here, you can click here and click here. So if you don't see that bar, toggle on the show layer timing. And that's going to show you this element right here, and it stays on, and then it disappears. So as I scrub the timeline back and I click on this, when I click on this element over here, there's some tools that show up on the left-hand side. And those tools allow me to animate that still photo. Now, I could replace that still photo with more moving video or more video products if I want to. But for this project, I'm just going to replace out the photos and replace out my video. So as I click on them, you can see over here, right? So this grouped element, by the way, each one of these are grouped. It's a group of photos. So if I click here, I'm going to scroll this over just for a second. If I click here, and I double click on it, you can see that it's actually made up of 2 items. It's the photo and then the frame that it's in. Okay. So as I am clicking on each of these elements, I can pop open the animation. That gives me information on the duration that it plays. For some reason, something called personality. And so you can change it. You can change it to be like soft or smooth or strong or energetic, right? You can also change the intensity and how it comes onto the screen. You can also tell it, this is how I want it to leave the screen as well. Okay, so it actually has two animations. It's got the animation that flies in, and then it has the animation that flies out. And then also the duration, so how long it lasts, okay? So I'm gonna go back to the editing here for a second. And one of the things that I need to do is, the first thing I need to do is I want this whole entire video to last 17 seconds. So I'm gonna look over here at my timeline as I drag this out. So I have a lot of video, and that's another thing that I recommend. Another pro tip is that capture more video than you really need. I want this to be about 17 seconds long. So let's go down to 7. Oh, nope. Too far. Go back here. Okay. So let's see. Okay. The reason why you're not seeing anything as I drag that out is because, well, it's wherever the timeline is. So it's at the end, right? So if I'm right here, I'm going to show with me. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that out. And the next thing I'm going to do is I want these photos to come in, but I don't want those photos to come in until the video has moved to an area where it's past my son. So I'm going to keep going out. So I'm going to keep going. So I can also look down here because it's giving me like little thumbnails. For some reason. What's going on here? Maybe this is the wrong one. Wrong clip. Let's see. No, that's the right one.
I have noticed in the past that doing the video in the Spark video prior to Express, sometimes it would not necessarily render all the way through to the end of the clip timeline, and then it just would wait for it to render, but it would actually be there in the clip.
And that's probably what's happening right now. So I might have to go in and come back out.
Right.
Yeah, and that's, I guess you could say that could be like, so to speak, a downfall, right, to the program if it's not working as quickly as I want it to do. Let me show you though how to move the content. So here, let's just say I like the way that it plays. It comes in and it goes out. If I wanted to move to a certain point, like let's say, and I actually have this done, so we can take a look at it if it's not working correctly, so to speak. For instance, this copy here, I don't want it to be right on top of his head, right? So I can click and drag it either this way or that way, depending, and I can drag the whole piece at the same time. Since it's giving me a hard time, let me just share with you what the final one looks like, because for whatever reason, it's not working the way I want it to. And I'll also show you too, there it goes, bing, 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 bing. I'll also show you how I replace those photos, because remember, when you're using like a template like this, it's really important to know how to replace it. So I showed you how to replace the video. All I did was I selected it, came up here and chose that, and then replaced it with my own content. You can also go to the media tab and replace it out with content from Adobe as well. So if you don't have the premium, which is the little, I don't know what you call, like the little crown with a checkbox, you can replace it with your own content, or you can use anything like this where it doesn't have the little icon with the crown if you don't have the premium edition. But I look at this as like, I want to replace all this out with my own content, ideally, right? So let me go back to this one real quick, and I'll show you how I, even though it's not rendering all this right here, to replace out a photo. And again, this is a grouped object. I don't want to ungroup it because I really like the animation, and I like how the photo and the frame slide in together. So to not wreck that, so to speak, I can double click on it and select just the photo. With that selected, I can come in here and upload. Now you can see I had HEIC photos, right? And I needed to change them out. So in this case, I went ahead and replaced I brought them in from my phone with the HEC, and then I, saved them as PNG. So now I have my photo. Now it's not in the right position, but that's okay. I can still come in here and change it. Again, if I click on the photo, I can change the crop, and I can also move it around. So if I double click it again, double click this time, I can just kind of slowly move this down to either the top or the bottom. I can also make it taller if I need to, or shorter, or I can crop it differently. Now, what I'd like it to be is a nice tall image. So now I'm going to have to kind of, I don't want the whole thing to be sized. Oops, what just happened? Just deleted. Something just happened. That's interesting. Okay, there it is. It didn't completely go away. So another thing you can do is Command Plus. You can actually zoom in, and that's one feature that I love because I'm so used to using it in the other programs and the other software. I don't believe Canva works that way. I think you have to work that a little differently. And that drives me crazy because if I have to work in all these other programs and I want something quick and easy, I want to use all the same tools that I'm used to in the other Adobe software. So now I'm going to just slide this down to the top of it. And I'm going to drag these elements down because I want to see the whole picture. And then I'm going to take this element out here, and I also am going to drag that down as well. Still keeping it as a grouped element, because why? I like the way the animation works on it. That's why. Okay. So that's how you would go in and change a photo on that. Now you can see what the copy is coming in all at the wrong time. And again, for whatever reason, not sure why this isn't working the way it should be. Let's go ahead and jump to my final one, which I have completed here. And I'll show you how I can move so here I'm starting here and I'm coming around. And so here you can see the content starting to come in. So if I want to move this content to come in, let's say a little bit later, I can select my copy here. I can drag it and literally physically move it so that maybe it comes in a little bit later if I wanted to. So that's another like quick little tip as well. So as I'm coming in, I want the copy to come in. That was, this was taken on June 10th, you can see in Oak Hill, Florida. Here, which is another nice feature. Again, if you're not a person who's used to working in video on a regular basis, you just want to put this little video together. One major benefit about Adobe Express is that Adobe makes suggestions for you. So like, let's just say I didn't like the way that the copy looked. It's going to give me all these different ways to handle. I could change it, right? I could change it to be like that instead. And it's going to show me it before I change it. So now I'm going to come in here. I kind of like the way it looks, and you can see how I've made this photo bigger. And again, a little tidbit here. This is the text. And you can not only just add text like I did right through, let's see here. This is just simple text, right? I can also add a element of surprise around the actual copy as well. And so if you notice when I select that and I scroll down here, this bit of copy has a shape to it. So you can see that this has been added like a little starburst, which makes sense. I'm outside, got to enjoy the sun a little bit. So I've added a little bit of starburst to that under the shape tool. Okay. If you notice here too, the date also has a shape to it. In other words, it's not two separate elements. So as you click on elements, again, all this kind of stuff changes, and you can change all this down here. So you can affect the animation, you can affect the shadow, you can affect the shape. In this case, I've got a shape to it. This time I'm using this tool right here. So with the sunbeam thing, I use that. For the date, I use this tool right here. And I guess there's more. These must be new. Okay, so you can play around with this and add things. Again, there's a lot of plug and play, which is very helpful for people. Again, if you're not used to using Photoshop, Illustrator, or even Premiere for that matter, this is a fantastic, really a fantastic tool for that. And so I'm going to go back to my one that's giving me trouble. I can come in here and change that photo as well. Again, this is a grouped image. If I ungroup it, now you can see that they're two separate objects. If I ungroup it, the animation will not work together anymore. That's the reason why I don't want to ungroup them. So I'm going to undo that, go back in here, and you don't have to ungroup them, as you can see. Just double click on it, come up here to your image, upload from your device. I think I used this photo here. Yep. And that one actually turned out perfect. I don't have to do anything to it. Again, I could come in here, double click on here. I'm going to upload from a device. This time I'm going to do seaweed. Love that seaweed. And I'm just going to adjust him just ever so slightly. Double click. And just bring him down a little bit. And I can also size them up. So if I want a little bit closer look of that seaweed, I can kind of go in here and let's see what that seaweed looks like. Perfect. Click away. Perfect. So now I've got my elements. I've got my background video. I've got my stills coming in. If this was working correctly, I could drag this to have it come in when he wasn't in the way. So like, yeah. So maybe I want it to come here. I could drag this over to here. And it's still not, it's struggling. It's struggling tonight. Aren't we all sometimes? Any questions?
That's looking really good. I like that you made good use of your grid, the grid's layout to make sure you have a good alignment and everything.
Yep. So I think it's pretty fun to use, you know, as long as you have an idea for a project. I mean, that's kind of like the trick, right? Like if no one gives, I'm just so used to, you know, people telling me, I need this, I need that, and I just make it for them. But if you're making your own project, it's like, what am I doing? So that's why I was super helpful, or I found it super important to find a good template to work from, because of, you know, I needed inspiration, you know, and I love that, you know, the beach and the scene and everything. I like the way that worked, you know. Also, I can change the order of something, meaning layers wise. I don't want something to sit on top of something. That's good too. And a kind of a good rule of thumb is when you find a good template, like keep a copy of it. That way you can go back to it and make a copy of it. Make a copy of it, make a copy of it. That way you can always go back and look to see how it was made. I think that's always a good thing, especially if you're learning to use this for the first time. It's a good suggestion, you know.
Have you tried out turning any of these into the templates, since there's the brand templates available?
I haven't yet. I haven't, because I was like, I don't know. Is anybody gonna, but because I built a template, or I used a template. So I thought no one would want it because the template already existed. I guess that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like, say if you're building for a client
Yes.
and you want to have a couple of campaign ones ready to go or something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I did some work for someone that was running for office, and, I had one template built and I just kept using that template, just copy, paste, copy, paste. And when you go into your stuff, you can make templates for things. So as you know, I run a Adobe User Group. And so I have events going on, and I've got people speaking at so I use it. Oh, you can see how I've used it over and over and over again.
And of course, we have to have Andrea Batzlatson in there because she's the Express Queen, and we love it.
She is the Express Queen. Absolutely. 100%, 100%. So are you guys bored yet?
I love doing this. I'm curious, have you invited anybody to work on a project with you? Because my understanding is the new version, you're supposed to be able to have the ability to bring other people into your projects. Have you given that a try? Has that worked successfully for you?
I haven't, just because, this is like my system here. I teach, so I have a laptop literally sitting here. And so if I were to do that, if I did a presentation, like maybe with another instructor, I would, and then but I am not working in-house for anybody right now. I do freelance projects on the side. And I guess if I had a team, I would. But most of the time I am doing, just my own little projects here and there. But I totally think that could work for like a team, like an in-house team of some sort. Yeah.
While you were doing your demo, I was playing along I was inviting everybody to join in and open it up as well and follow along. And I love, oh yeah, I see that Brad pulled up his Happy Holidays one. That's cute. That I'm loving seeing that they've brought in add-ons to Express.
Yes. Yeah.
And I just found an add-on that will convert your HEIC files so that you can go. Express. That's awesome.
They're always adding something at the last, minute, so to speak, right? Like, sure. Yeah. I found something too, which I thought was super interesting. Let me go back into here for a second. One of the things that I downloaded was this one, the color blindness one, because believe it or not, we even have, some students that are going to school and they're colorblind, and we're always talking about accessibility. And we're also talking about accessibility in like UX UI design as well. So this is a good exercise in it's a good exercise for teaching, but it's also a good exercise for just like realizing like how many people go through life, like, and knowing that. And like, we never had those kinds of tools. Like when we did any kind of web design back in the day or any kind of application design, like we didn't even think about that kind of stuff, And so there is the, let me share my screen again. There's the colorblind. I downloaded this one. And also the vision board. The vision board's good for what you were just talking about, kind of connecting with multiple people and working on a project together. I know that whenever they do the live events with Adobe, they do like a vision board with all these different ideas, but I'm a big fan of the color blindness one. And just because of my UX UI background, I was like, oh man, like I was going through these and I thought, oh, look at that. I was super excited so I downloaded the color blindness one, and it's nice. So I'll just play this for a second here. So when you click on it, it gives you like kind of like a before and after. So this is like over here, you can see like this is what, quote, a normal person with normal eyesight. So a person that has like full color blindness, this is what they see. So it's like before and after. And I thought that is like super, like, wow. and then they have all the different, like a person that, you have the different, gosh, I'd have to have like a thesaurus here. I don't, all the different types of blindness, like the blue, green, purple, red, the complete red and green blindness. There's all kinds right in here. So you can kind of see like before and after. And I think that's super important because especially if you're going to get anything printed or anything like that. I've got this invitation that just did, let me go in there.
And it is super important too. The statistics right now are showing that approximately 60 to 65% of white males over 45 have some form of color blindness just from a genetic disposition. And those are things we never would have taken into consideration before. So Absolutely. It is super helpful to have that information.
Yeah. And then of course, again, being, they have the auto icon. And so this is fantastic if you're creating like a little, just a little UI just to show like a process. Like we're always in UX UI, we're always showing process. Like how do you complete something, going from just maybe 3 screens of showing how a process works. And so having these just at your fingertips is like absolutely amazing, right?
These are so cool. I didn't even know the icons were in here.
Yeah.
I like this additional add-on.
Super interesting. It's like every time I log into Adobe Express, there's something new. And you could like log in literally every day and there'd be something new.
Right. Exactly. I'm curious to know if anybody is taking advantage of this newest newest iteration of Express, and how are you using it? How are you making it work to your advantage? I know Andrew uses it from time to time. I don't know Mike or Ivan or Gina or Linda, if any of you guys are interested in it. Have you put it to good use? So I'm just curious. I think Daniel, you use it for making our banners, right? Let me see, and I'm going to unmute you. Sorry, go ahead.
For some of these banners, but lately I've just edited it in Photoshop and made the original one here. Okay. But I use them for lots of social media posts for some of my other businesses.
Absolutely. It really does come in handy. Cheryl asks, how about handling audio?
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. I was looking down at the chat. Yeah, so I actually ended up putting audio into my video. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. Let's go here. I'm going to go back to my stuff again. And I'm going to go to the final one. I'd like to work off of the one that I started just to show you. Yeah, it's kind of messed up right now. So anytime you have a video clip, let's just say this video clip was only like, yay long. Let's go ahead and just take these off here for a second because I can't stand looking at them when they're like that. I'm just gonna, let's say your video clip is only yay long. To add audio, it's super easy again. So go to your media. Let's just say you have stock audio that you want to add. You can upload it to the device. However, if you don't, which in my case, I didn't. And actually, I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm going to go ahead and play it. You can actually hear the water. So I can keep that in there. But I wanted like a little audio track to kind of make it feel fun. So I went ahead and clicked on audio, and I searched, something like beach vibes, ocean, boating, something like that. And I just did a little search, right? And I found something that kind of looked neat. Before I put it in here, I can actually test them. So I could just, okay. And I think that's the one that I ended up going with. So all I have to do
Sarah,
now,
just so you know, your sound is not shared with us, so we're barely hearing it. But in Zoom, if you want to just go to share again, and then just check the little sound icon in the lower left corner along with your screen. And then we'll be able to hear it. And then there's a little checkbox in the bottom left.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm.
All these new tools in Zoom. Let me just tell you. Okay. Oh, interesting. Now it's asking me to share your computer. Please install the Zoom audio.
Oh, no, it won't do it. You're on a Mac. You have to do it and then come out of the meeting and then come back in. So that's okay. We'll pretend we heard it.
Okay. I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
Sorry about that.
So odd. Okay. So just pretend for a moment that you can hear this. You just click on this and it'll play like a clip for you. Once you decide on the audio that you want, if you just click on it, it adds it for the length of the video. So now you don't have to worry about, is it the right length and so forth. You can also add and record your own voice. So let's just say you're putting a presentation together and you're doing several slides. You can record your voice for each section of it if you want to. If that makes sense. So yeah, super easy. You can also, let me come down here. You can select the audio as well, and you can bring it down. You can mute it. You can unmute it. And so you can kind of control that. And I suspect that, and you can split it. I suspect that in the future that might even give you more controls with like maybe having it fade in like to a certain point and then have it fade out, like similar to the way that you can fade in animations. I'm suspecting that they'll probably have that capability as well. But right now it's just the simple, you can split the clip, you can mute the clip, you can make the clip at half the amount, meaning the audio, that sort of thing. So yeah, this is a great question, and hopefully, unfortunately, I don't know why, but you can't hear my audio for that, which is sad. That's really sad, Zoom. So yeah, I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, the fade in and fade out was the deal breaker for me. I started playing with the audio and went, I got to be able to fade stuff in.
Right. And transition, like a simple transition, not something over the top. But again, I think you have to vary like who is this product for, right? At the end of the day, and what are people trying to make it? Like if it's too advanced, then you might as well use a Premiere, you might as well use, fill in the blank, right? Yeah. But if it's too advanced, then the typicals won't want to use it because it's too much at that point,
I've been experimenting with dropping in additional scenes, so connecting multiple clips together and then doing the animation layering over, and that's kind of fun. That's kind of neat to see.
Let me show you. I'm going to go back to my stuff again. I'll export out the MP4 file so you can kind of see what the final product look like in the very end. I'll go in here and I'm going to go ahead and download it.
And while you're doing that, Gina says, I haven't yet used Adobe Express, but I just had a meeting with someone today who wants to collaborate with me, and this has given me all kinds of ideas. That's awesome. Andrew says, not only do I use Adobe Express, but I have done several live events, and Andrew's got an amazing channel on Facebook and YouTube and a couple of different social media platforms, and he uses StreamYard, and they've been doing these really great live playing with Express, playing with Firefly, and combining those things together. So that's been really fun. Thanks for sharing that, Andrew.
Yeah, I noticed that on the very first page of Adobe Express, like that's kind of it's like a big splash on that, that I think the thing is that you have to worry about if you're just trying to do creative, then awesome, like go to town. But we have to weigh, right? Like what can be used professionally, commercially, and what can't, you know what I mean? And so eventually, right, maybe the lines will be so blurred that it won't matter. I don't know. And a lot of people might be upset by that comment or not. But I think I still have to think about those kinds of things as my workflow continues, as I have to think about, I have to go and capture my own content. I have to go and use stock images that I paid for. And so, where does that end and begin? And it's becoming grayer and grayer and grayer and grayer. So I'm trying to learn that stuff. In fact, one of the things that I've done in my own class is that I teach a class called Communications and Identity, and we learn about corporate identity. You saw my possibilities, Divine Possibilities is this fictitious, brand of pasta company, right? Restaurant. And one of the things that I ask my students to do is use a product called Adobe Firefly. And I ask them to type out a description for a rendering of the outside of their restaurant. And they have to come up with their own restaurant. They have to come up with their own logo and branding and that sort of thing, kind of realistic, right? And so I'm seeing more and more, and I experienced this myself when I was working full-time as a graphic designer, is that the expectation is not just to create that widget or to create that UI or to create that logo. Now it's like, oh, you're in-house. What is the rendering going to look like for the new restaurant? What is the wall going to look like? What is the bar going to look like? What is the entryway? We got to redo the entryway. Oh, let's put the graphic designer is not an interior designer, but let's put the graphic designer on this project, because we're going to save money, So I'm asking my students to use it as a way to get inspiration for their overall restaurant, and also to understand that I keep telling them, I don't know what the future holds, but you should know how to use this kind of software where you have to write and type in prompts, because I don't know where it's going, but you should at least know how to use it.
And I think the really cool part, at least with Adobe, is that they have made a pledge and a commitment to make sure that any content that is utilized in the AI has a creditable source. So they're always going to trace it back to the original artist. And that's pretty crucial in terms of setting creative minds at ease as to how their content could potentially be used in the future, and will they receive recognition for that. So that's pretty important. Andrew says Firefly can be a real hit or miss, and that's true, because again, this is still a very experimental stage of this. Consider this, all of this generative AI literally got into the mainstream about this time last year with Midjourney and all of the different applications. So it's pretty crazy. Yeah, generative fill is pretty awesome. It is pretty incredible what they can do with it. I see Alan came on. Alan, are you thinking about using a little AI in your future?
Yeah, I use it a bit. Gen Fill is great. Gen Fill has lots of fans. That's, Firefly, yeah, well.
Have to wait and see.
My benchmark test for Firefly, which hasn't passed yet, is the elephant and the crocodile and the python from the Just So stories. How the elephant got his trunk.
Cool.
The crocodile grabbed the elephant's nose and baby elephant.
And stretched it out.
And so far, it manages an elephant with a snake for a trunk, or it has a elephant with a crocodile's nose, or it has a crocodile with elephant skin. It's just like you get these chimeras of mixed animals. It's just weird.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I'm sure it will improve, but it's struggling right now for that.
Yeah. Cheryl says, can you show the animation layering of video clips you mentioned where you use Express? Adding multiple clips in. Sarah, do you want to try showing the first one that you had with your son, and then you had another movie clip that you can add in as the additional scene? And then we can show what that looks like.
Here's the final clip. Oh, hang on. Gotta share my screen. My bad. So here's the video clip Again, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear the audio. This will be interesting. Just tell me if you can or not. We'll see. Can you hear it?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Put it playing again. So that's the final. So you could barely hear it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's just not coming through the speakers. That's okay.
Go to audio settings and just your regular audio settings and try turning off the Zoom optimized audio and turn on original sound. That might help.
It's right there, original sound for musicians.
Cancellation that really screws it up.
Yeah. Try that one.
Which one?
Right at the bottom where your cursor is right now. No, come up to the middle. It says original sound for musicians. You are right, just a little bit down, right there.
And turn off echo cancellation because that messes it up royally. There you go. Try that. See if it works.
I closed it.
We learn from each other, you know. That's
every day, indeed.
Can you hear it now?
Still not. Yeah, sort of, but not really.
It's okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, but thanks for trying, Alan. We appreciate it.
Come on, we're designers. We know how to, we can.
We're just gonna get her system up to date after the Zoom is done.
There you go. Or I'll be like, it's not working. Something's not working.
It'll work. It'll work.
So
Okay.
there are presentation slides in here, which are templates. Actually, let me go back out here. For some reason, I always find myself more comforting coming back here for some reason and then going to explore. I don't know why. I guess because I like to see, I don't like the, like just only seeing this much area of templates, and then what you can do is go to, not video, I want templates. I want animated templates. And there was one that I was looking at just the other day, maybe video in them. So that's video, but there are ones where you can have multiple, and I was on one just a few minutes ago, or actually it was last night. There's so many that you can, let's see. So let's just see the premium ones.
I thought you were going to add another clip of yours
video?
into your own video. Yeah.
Oh, I could try.
It should work.
The biggest problem is it's not working tonight for some reason. I'm going to duplicate this one so as to not mess it up, and I can delete it later. Okay, so edit timeline
and then add scene at the end of
Oh, so you just want to add scene? I thought you wanted another video within that.
I think that's what Cheryl, you feel free to unmute if that's what you're referring to, because I thought you were saying you wanted to see additional clips and then how you could layer across multiple, because you can add layers above, and then I think you can move the layer so that it overlaps between the different scenes or the different clips.
Right now, I think it's very linear like this. However, you can replace the still photo with video if that's what you mean. So I'm wondering what she means.
I'm curious too. Cheryl, if you're still here, let us know.
I'll go ahead and just start working on something, and
Sure.
I have another video in here. It's him sitting down. So we can go from here to another video, or let's throw a video into this original one. Da-da-da-da. What I can do is take maybe, let's try this. Let's copy this. And let's do,
I was going to ask, will it let you drag the purple clip, the selected photo, so that it crosses over
Like
between the two clips?
like
no?
how Premiere works, where you can like
Right.
like this. No, I've noticed that it does
Gotcha.
not. No.
Okay.
No. But
Interesting.
if I wanted to put maybe some like video at the end, let's I can change this so that this comes first and then this comes.
Mhm.
But as far as like how Premiere works, where you can like overlap them, no. But I
Right.
wonder if that may change in the future. I don't know.
It
We'll
might.
see.
That would be really cool.
Let's have video come in. I could even have this video come in. So let's see, upload. Let's put the smaller video in. Okay, and I need to make sure I move it to the top because right now it's hidden. So let's see. Oh, no, it's right here. Okay, so let's put it at the end and let's have it fade up. And I only want it to come in right about here.
And Cheryl says, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I can make it bigger, and then I can also crop it, which is nice. So if I want to have kind of the same rectangular feel, or I could do like a square, something like that. So I just want that little bit of square there. I can even move him down a little bit. And one more thing, I can add the, I could add like just like a square shape around it, and maybe this flies in. So what's cool is I can select it and go to animation, and let's go ahead and give it the same animation that I gave this. So I'm going to do a spin and a pop out. So the spin, oops, didn't do that. The spin will come in at, oh, where did we go? I need one of these. So the animation, what is it? A spin at 0.75 at 50 intensity. Okay. And there's my video. We'll come in and a spin and 0.75. And we'll have a spin. And then what was the other one? There we go. And I want it to animation. I want it to pop out at 0.4 with a 21 intensity. Pop out. Where are you? There we go. And I want it to pop out before it ends. Pop. Okay. So now okay, so now I need it. I can see that I got to actually move it because I don't want it to come in. I want it to be gone. So I got to move it more. There we go. Boom. There. It's short. I need to make my whole video longer, which you can see I have more video. For whatever reason, that last file, it would not let me. So that's a good, oh, it ended. It ends right about there. I could actually move this down a little bit.
It's just messing with you.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It sure
I think it actually probably does play all the way out, and it's not rendering the thumbnail in the timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But I kind of
Yeah.
need to see that. That's kind of important. It's kind of important. So
They're like,
yeah, right now,
just trust us. No. That's looking pretty
You can have
good.
another video. What I wanted to show you though is from a like kind of a practical sense. I'm going to go back to templates again. Explore. Yeah. And I wanted multiple pages, animated templates, that one. And so this is good. This is not the one I was thinking of, but this will show you. Let me just show you what this template looks like. So you can almost imagine, like, if someone was giving a presentation on something, they could ultimately come into media, go to audio, and then record each section. So if I replace my photo here and put, "Hi, I'm Sarah Schweiger," I could record that section. Then I could record another section that maybe a little tidbit of information, right? And you could like literally add audio all the way down to the very last piece of the presentation. And so you've got video, you've got animation of copy flying in. And then you can also add your, your recorded voiceover, and then you could also add, I'm assuming you could add both the audio and the recorded voiceover. So there's that. I stopped sharing my screen often because I can't see the rest of you guys. For some reason, when I'm sharing my screen, you all go away and I can't see you. So
That's normal. That's Zoom.
yeah.
Okay. Well, we want to say thank you so much for taking the time to go through all of the fantastic examples that you provided. This is really, it's, again, like you said, it's eye-opening to see other people play and then discover things as we're going. So I think a lot of us, we've seen Express in different places and different uses. And just to be able to see this in this type of capacity is really cool.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Have you played with the animate from audio at all?
Are you talking about the actual separate program or the
No, in Express where you can pick a little avatar and then you can record a voiceover and then it animates the little do that.
I know Andrew has.
Hard to find. You have to actually search for it.
Yeah, it's in here. I haven't, but all of my peers in my workplace have.
Okay.
I have. We're in the process of like preparing to be, you know, every year if you teach or you're a school, like you get audited. And so we are going through and collecting like all of like every single video file, audio file, every bit of information, like every live class. I'm in the process of auditing. I feel like a you know, I don't feel like a graphic designer right now. I feel like I'm, you know, some kind of like mathematician, because we're like having to collect all the numbers for our classes right now. And I just have not had a chance to do anything fun, probably in the last 2 weeks, because all I'm doing is like going through every bit of content that I provide in my classes, like with a fine-tooth comb. So while my peers have had lots of time to do that, I have not. But I have seen it used and it's quite fun. And I understand that you can do some layering. Like one of my friends, he created a character. You can like pick your character. It's an animated character. You can do the voiceover. You can even, and some of the characters are even animated, like they move their arms and their
yeah, they do. It's
yeah.
You record the voiceover and then Express goes away and thinks about it for a bit and then boop, you got a video.
Yeah. I've seen it done. I have been, you know, adding numbers for the past 2 weeks. So yeah, that is Adobe Express character. Yep. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Once I get done with the audit, maybe I get to play with it. We'll see.
I see the kids having a ton of fun with that.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that. I just haven't, I think I'm one of those people, I have to think about what my project's going to be, and I have to like envision it before it's done. So when you work in numbers right now, you just can't think beyond like, is that 30 minutes of, video recording you just did, or is that 40 minutes? And it's got to add up to 45 hours of didactic hours and 90 hours of non-didactic. I mean, like, I'm a graphic designer.
Trying to say this is less than inspirational.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm just not a fun person right now.
That's awesome. And that's totally understandable. Everybody's in back to school mode too. So, or back to
Yeah.
so we're in learning mode. But this is always fascinating because it's always an opportunity to learn new stuff. So just glad that you shared with us today.
Oh yeah. Anytime. I try.
Does anybody have any last questions for Sarah before we go to our raffle?
I have a question. The web professionals, what does most of the groups that are people that are members, what do most people's backgrounds? Are they web developers? Are they working UX UI? Like what? I assume that they're web
anything and everything.
Oh, okay.
Anything
So
and
it's
everything.
just a mixture of different people.
Yeah.
So it's not just web develop. I just assumed that everyone was a developer on here.
So web professionals, it's taken a change of meaning over time as we incorporated in social media and digital content and all different aspects, video production, everything. So we're always open to explore everything, which is awesome.
We are professionals on the web.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. I just assumed that everyone was like so smart on here and that they would be bored out of their minds with my presentation, but okay. Cool.
At least I didn't name it after a product. Otherwise, the name would have changed like 5 times already.
True, especially if it was Adobe. Very true.
Yeah.
Speaking of, so Mr. Daniel, are you ready for your raffle winner? Daniel makes a suggestion. He says we should change the name of our group. Andrew said he made a suggestion. Something to consider.
So today's prize is a Photoshop workshop with Stephen Burns. And the winner needs to send me a private message on the chat with their phone number and email, because Stephen's going to have to be in touch with the winner like tomorrow.
Are you sharing screen?
Yeah.
Okay. No problem. I'm sorry, I forgot to plug in my game show music. There we go.
It's on the line.
It's on the line.
You're the winner.
Oh, for goodness sake. Let somebody else win that one.
All right.
He's back in. Spin and spin, and who knows who'll win.
Funny.
Mike Kosick, are you here? Feel free to unmute yourself. Congratulations.
Yes, I'm here. Woohoo!
Congrats, Mike.
Oh, that'll be awesome. That would be
Hey,
awesome.
Mike, could you private message me your phone number?
Okay,
Sounds good.
I'll try to do that.
Okay. And James just came back in.
Yeah.
It's the same email you registered under.
Okay.
Is it, or is it a different email?
Yeah, I used a different one this time. It's camera. I use that instead of the.
Would that one work? Because I have to get this over to Stephen.
That would be the best one for
All right,
email. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give that over to him, and when you private message me the number, then I'll have him be in touch with you about.
All right. Cool.
Don't hear from him in the next few days, please.
Sure.
Reach out to me so I could push him.
All right. Thank you much.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think this wraps up our meeting for today. So just to summarize, just in case you were TLDR, too long, didn't watch, TLDW. Let's see, Sarah recapped how to put together really great video content and remove backgrounds from your video. She also showed how we can import video content and assets from our mobile phones and put together really great content for videos like Instagram Reels and stories and all that good stuff. And let me see, I'm trying to remember what else. And you also showcased how to plug in add-ons and how to take advantage of templates and brand libraries and all the cool features that are built into Adobe. So Sarah, thank you again. We really appreciate your time tonight. And everybody, we will see
Thanks,
you
great
at
job.
Adobe Max. Great job.
Mhm.
We'll
Catch
see
you
you
guys
at
later.
Max and see you in a few months. Take it easy, everybody.